Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be doing my Melbourne Demons fantasy preview for 2024, going through all their players and what I think they'll happen, sort of looking at their positions, etc., and how the new guys will almost impact them, etc., and going through that. But before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when these are uploaded, even though they're uploaded at midday every day. Till the 18th, I want to say that will be the case. There may be a delay of one day or something like that, or a delay. One of them may come, the one on the 14th may come out a little bit later, just because of timing wise and getting it recorded and uploaded, but that would only be like an hour or two delay. But anyway, let's get into this video. So, as you can see here, Oliver, Petrarca, Viney, Gorn, etc. You've got all the guys there. This one looks to be, just from the notes that I've got, it's actually a longer one. Six guys I got here, just putting down their stats and stuff like that and go through. First guy, obviously, top dog from the players is Clayton Oliver. A 114 average last year from 13 games. Obviously had the injury problems as well as some off-field problems. So he's one guy that, with the early bye, basically takes him out of contention, I reckon. It's difficult to play him just with an early bye and a premium midfielder. It's just basically impossible to play him because you just don't know what's going to happen with him. And with that early bye as well, he misses out and you're basically burning 50 points for a guy that might even be injured at one point, might even be suspended internally or externally by the AFL for different things off field. There's just a lot of drama going there, and I reckon it's best just to stay away from it this year. So there's that. That's the reason why I want to stay away from it. Clayton Oliver has been a guy that I've looked at in the past, in previous years for AFL Fantasy. I don't need ads like that on my thing. As you can see here, basically since his rookie year, has had that natural progression up to that ton sort of player. And that's why I think the likes of George Wardlaw could be interesting, because he could take that huge step. He has it's different in the way he plays, but he has that similar step that he could easily go quickly up to that ton type of material. But that COVID year, I just want to do the calculations for you. 1.25 times the 91.7 gets you a 114 in the COVID year. So effectively, if you look at it, he's gone. So he's gone 101, 109, 106, 114, 108, 112, and a 113.8 across his basically a year since his rookie year of 69. So I really like the scoring ease that he has, but it's just a problem, and he's basically untaggable in itself. But the only problem is just the off-field stuff in this round zero basically puts me off him in going for that. But I just think he's one that you could potentially be able to grab come the buys potentially, but also later on in the season as you try and max out your group. And you're just going to hope that in round zero and against, I believe they're playing the Swans, are they? Fixtures, let's go 2024. They play in round zero. Who do they play in round zero? Let's look at this. They play in round zero, the Swans, which won't be obviously counted points-wise, but for price gen, hopefully the Swans can lock him down and he can, so we can drop in value, because it will be huge if you can pick him up later on in the year, but I just don't like it early on in the year with all the injuries that he's had and stuff like that. The next guy to talk about is Christian Petrarca. Here he is. Here, 23 games for a 106, was only 2.1% off of the forward status last year, which very much sucked, because he would be the number one picked forward if that was the case, because you don't want to just leave out a guy averaging 100. You'd rather have him in over probably Petrarca, because that's him, over the likes of a Dacos, to be honest with you, just because the forward line is so depleted. So he could easily pick up forward status in this season, just because they have Viney. If Oliver is playing, they've also got Brayshaw himself, and then they've also got, if we look here, Lockie Hunt is a winger. Trent Rivers could move into the midfield a little bit. Keziah Pickett could do that as well, which we'll get to. So you see, he could easily pick it up. And we go here, and you see that his lowest score of the year was a 75, then an 80, 85, 90, 99, And so he only had, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sub 100 scores, and two of them came in the first 3 weeks, and 4 of the 6 came before the bye, and then he had 2 bad weeks in 22 and 23 where he was played predominantly as a forward, I'm pretty sure. So I really like him. He just is one guy that I think it's just, you can't get him at the moment with a Primo being in the midfield, and that's basically why he is going to be so lowly selected. Let's just look at his selections. He is selected in only 4.4% of teams, and Clayton Oliver 4.7%. Viney will skip over because it's basically the same thought process with Petrarca and Oliver, a midfielder. A premium midfielder in their buy sort of is not going to be that warranted in selecting, and that's why Viney is also only 0.59% selected. Then we move to Max Gawn, who is a very interesting one to look at. If we just bring him up here, Gawn, where is he? Where is Gawn? He's up here. He was off my thing. Then we go to Max Gawn, and this should be over here. There we go. Let's bring Max Gawn up. So Max Gawn, and let me bring up my numbers here, is very much like what we talked about with Brodie Grundy a couple of days ago in the Swans preview. He is well underpriced. Just look at this, 92 when he averaged 103 last year, 108 the year before, and 198.9 in the COVID year, which is basically 123.6 in the COVID year. So look at that, and then 111. So this is the worst he's been averaged at since 2017, where he had a 85.8. And then the year before that, he still had a 106.5. The year before that, 91.9, sorry. So this 2015 to 2016 is something that I'd look at here. He went from a 91.9. He's currently priced at a 92.1. He went to a 106.5. So that is something to definitely look at. He had to share the ruck with Brodie Grundy, and you've also got, if you just take out that 4 game that he had, 20 times 92.1, minus the 4, divided by 19, and you've already got him at 96.7, if you just take out the 4. So if you take out his injury game, he's already up, what do we say, 4.6 points of upside already, just because of that. If he gets back to his norm of... and he only had 65% of, was that 65% somewhere here? Let me just check here. I think it's 65%. 2022, even with Jackson, he had 65% ruck time as well there. And then with, you can see here with 2021, he had 73%. And then 2020, he had 92% in 2020. So that's where I was getting that 92%. And that 92% is without a proper secondary ruck, which looks to be the case this year. So that's very, very interesting that he could have a bulk increase in CBAs. So he's definitely one to look at. Because I don't necessarily want to go Gawn and Grundy in the ruck. But he could be one to look at. If they both go 110 plus in round 0, then even against each other, I reckon that is huge for AFL fantasy. And you could almost go Brodie Grundy and Gawn and just make massive cash there, because there is potential. If you look at Gawn's numbers here, if you go back to his 2020 number, that was a 123. He's a potential 30-point upside, as well as Brodie Grundy. There is potentially 60 points worth of cash gen there. And they will be probably a set and forget almost rucks. 60 times the magic number, that is already 540k of cash gen, and we're looking at needing around that. That is like 1/10 of the cash gen you need, and that's out of primos that aren't going to be needed to trade. So there is almost a warrant to go Grundy and Gawn, and they don't. Do they have the same buy round? Let's look at that. Round 6 compared to the likes of, if we go to the Sydney Swans, and let's just pick Goulden just for the sake of this. The Swans have round 5, so they are offsetting their buys. And if you have Toby Conway or an R3 that works there as well, that plays, you could just play them both. And honestly, it could be an interesting take just to have that there, because he is so underpriced. So that is also something that I'm looking at, and he is priced at 831, so it is 250k I'd have to get out of that, but I could scrape that out of the bench that I currently have. I think I have somewhere close to 400k off the bench anyway, which is needed because we need to pay up for the rookies playing round 1, but that is just dropping like a giant nukem down to like a Wardlaw or something like that, I think. What's Wardlaw price? We just went through him, but I forgot his price. Wardlaw is currently priced at 552. That's 290k. That is exactly what I can do. I can just put Wardlaw down and get Jerry up to get him up to Gawn, which is something I will flirt with in the future. So yeah, Gawn is massively underpriced, and you also just got to think about it, not about the time. And also you can look at all those numbers, etc., but you also got to look at just his ruck contest. If you just think about it that way and look at his ruck averages, it's not like he's going to just magically forget how to tap the ball out of the ruck and get those hit outs. It's not like he's going to dip 15 to 20% in his hit outs. So him getting another 30 or 40 ruck contests a game, which I have him right now at in 2023, he had 55 to 60 ruck contests. He could easily go up 80 to 85, and that right there is what, 25 to 30, 25 ruck contests a game. If he averages a hit out every 40 to 50%, he's roughly around 50% hit out. That is roughly an extra 12 points per game already. And we said that he was a 4%, and I know that this is sort of, you're double counting a little bit, but if we look at that, he's already at 96 plus 12, that's already 15 points of upside there. 15 to 20 points of upside already for Max Gawn, let alone the added kicks and handballs and marks and tackles that he'll get with just more time in the ruck. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Max Gawn goes, and probably going to be a guy that I own. If he and Grundy go off in round 1, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to have those two back. The Grundy could be back, which is going to be fun. Then the next guy we move on to, I spent like 8 minutes on Gawn. The next guy we move on to is Trent Rivers. And this is an interesting one, and you're probably going to have to hear me out for this one here. Where is Rivers? He is here. There we go. Trent Rivers averaged 76.5 in 2023. If I just let this load again, it will go to 2024. Let's go back. 2023. Average of 76.5. Now, he didn't have any injury games of note, I don't believe. No injury games of note. But the one thing I like about Trent Rivers, if we go to 2023, he didn't have any CBAs. And now he could get CBAs, but I don't think he will. I think if we look at his kick-ins in the kick-in stats for Melbourne, you will see May, I'm pretty sure, up here. It's May, Bowie, Rivers. So Rivers had 21 kickouts. He could easily take some more kickouts here. And I don't think Thomason will take the kickouts anymore. So I think Rivers will take 3 or potentially 2 or 3 kickouts per game, which is around another 20 or so kicks. And he plays on 100% of the time. So I really like the look of that and him playing on for most of his kickouts. So there's that. And that could potentially just be 60 points in itself that he picks up. And 60 points is another 3 points, etc. But I just like the look of what's going to go on. And I reckon he gets that that sort of ability to just take the kickouts for well, not kickouts, but just in general be that distributor for Melbourne. I'm just setting this back up because I've got to go back to, I think, another midfielder. So I really like the look potential of him, but he's definitely one that you got to look over in round 0, but we get that free look at them in round 0 and how they're going to play out. Obviously, Stephen May will take a lot of the kickouts, which will limit his potential upside to a certain degree, but you can just see this progression here, this 51 to a 76, and how is that going to play out? I reckon he is one that could take the next step. He's 22, going to be he's going to turn 23 in the season, so I reckon he could be the one that takes the next step, which will be interesting. He's not being used as a midfielder with only 3%, as we said, and the only thing I don't like about Rivers is that he's basically got a high of 108 and next highest of 104, and then no tons. But one thing I do, and also he's got a 46. He's got 140 score, 250 scores, and 360 scores. Which, if he can lift that, that's already 3 or 4 points of upside. If he also gets the 2 more or 3 more kickouts per game, I think it's 2 more. If he averages 2 per game, that is another 3 or so points of upside per game, 3 to 6 points of upside per game. It'll be 60 points across. Yeah, it'll be 3 or so points per game that he'll get more, and that'll be already another. So he could potentially have 10 points of upside. So just an interesting one to look at in round 0 if he does go well, because if he goes and puts up a 100 in round 0, he could be a guy that averages 85, 90 across the year and gets that quick cash gen to get to potentially use him and then grab him up to a likes of a Kitty Coleman or something like that after Kitty Coleman's buy, who has it well early in the year. But that's just the thought there. The next guy to talk about is Keziah Pickett, and this is basically running off the fact that there is a potential for Clayton Oliver to not play this year or to have limited playing time. And one guy I've really liked the look of is Keziah Pickett. Obviously has a massive suspension risk, given that he knocked Bailey Smith out, got 2 games, and then he also got, didn't he get, I swear he got a week or something like that for the game against, the one against in Carlton, but it doesn't look like it. So yeah, he played 21 games across the year and got, had 63 average. Wasn't it against Carlton that he had I swear he had an injury, he had another bump or something. So yeah, he was a little bit dangerous with the suspensions. But if you look at Keziah Pickett, if we go to him here, you'll see that I'm pretty sure he has a good natural progression in a sense. 34 to a 64 to a 56 to a 63. So he is holding around that 60, which you expect as a small forward. And you've got to remember that these forwards are, it's interesting because their primo is almost 15 points under from what we have had in the last years. So will be interesting that can a 63 forward get some midfield time and push up. He has a 28, a 41, a 37 here, just looking at it, as well as another 28, so 2 28s, a 41, and a 26 as well, and a 27. So he's had massive lows, but if he gets that midfield time, if you look at the CBAs and you look at the 2023, you look at Keziah Pickett, his best numbers, round 7, he had a really good, and then he had 85 there. The round 1, he had a 24% in the midfield, and he had a 120. If you look at his other game, he had a 34 and then a 29 in round 9. In round 9, he dropped to 65, so not the greatest. His next big CBA numbers are rounds 18 to 23, and let's just look at his numbers there. Rounds 18 here to 23, 23, 27. But you can see here, rounds 18 to 23, he put up that, which is, I want to say, probably a 70, 72 average. So it'll be interesting to see who gets that Harms minutes, who gets the James Jordan's minutes in the midfield. As you can see here, 27% and 27%. They've got to be taken out at some point. And I know Harms only played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. And James Jordan only played somewhere close to around that 15 or so games. But that's 27% that have got to be picked up at some point. And it will be interesting to see who picks them up. Will it be Brayshaw? Or will it be Pickett? Will it be the Petrarca and Oliver, who Oliver was at 81%, Petrarca 61%, Brody Grundy leads as well, that would just be gone picking that up. Tom Sparrow could pick it up as well, so he's one that you could look at as well. But he could be one that just picks that F3, F4 spot from the start if he goes off in round 0, as he could be massive cash gen quickly, and then you just trade him off to another guy, Keziah Pickett, to someone else that'll hopefully be able to. You could potentially get him early if he has massive cash gen quickly, and then in his buy, just trade him to the likes of a Caleb Daniel, who should also do average 90 or something across the year for that forward line, which will be top 6. So there's that thought as well. And then the last guy we got to talk about is Colton Thorstrop, and he is an early-ish pick, and only priced at 264k, but he did, which is the equivalent of 29.2 for the average, which is very gettable given his position. Average 73.3 in the under-18 Carnival off 18 disposals as sort of that medium forward, and gives me a lot of Isaac Heaney type vibes. He will probably grow out to be 189, 190, which is roughly similar to Isaac Heaney. And can he pinch hit in the midfield is the biggest thing with him. So he's probably going to be a bench guy that just gains cash, and probably trade him out around 400k or so for 50k, and that'll be 150k of cash gen that we can get in the first 5 or 6 rounds. But it'll be interesting if he gets that round 1 start, as he'll have that double price rise for a rookie, which is crucial, especially if he gets off to a really good start. So just got to watch that in itself.
And this is basically the review for Melbourne done there. And only a 20-minute review for them, as they did have a lot of guys to talk about, but with that round 0, you basically take all their midfielders and throw them out the window, as they don't mean anything, as you don't want a primo on that early buy, in my opinion, as you're basically chucking away probably 50 points, I would say. 50, 60 points, to be honest with you, as your best 18. Given that also in the buy round, you start to see the rookies that we have at that point, your lowest scores are generally a 40 or 50, and if you chuck away premium, you could be actually chucking away 90 points now, thinking about 80, 90 points, but most likely a 50 or 60 on average you're going to be chucking away. And if you do that once or maybe twice, then it can be awkward. But the ruck line is a little bit different, especially with Gawn and Grundy, and the value that they present, that you can almost get another premium there, or you can almost, instead of getting a rookie, you can get a mid-pricer or something like that, and you have sort of those step ranges that you can hit, and it just gives you more flexibility, and even though they do have that early buys. But just something to think about, especially Gawn. Look at him, Kasiah Pickett, Tom Sparrow, and also Trent Rivers, and also the rookie Thelstrop, and see how they score in round 0. Will be interesting to see their cash gen, given that they're underpriced, all those guys. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next review, which will, I think it's Hawthorn, the next review, which will be interesting. I think I like a lot of the Hawks as well, so that'll be an interesting review, but we'll get to that tomorrow. Bye, guys.